this episode of Living Baggage Free. My name is Olamide, and as always, I'm so excited to be doing this today. So we have something very, very interesting to talk about today. But before I jump into it, I have a favor to ask of you. Please help me grow this channel by subscribing, like the video, share with your friends, and please be generous with your feedback. Talk to me. I want to hear from you. Okay? So, as I said, I have something very interesting, and I'm just going to go into it. The title is Confronting Painful Emotions and Dealing with Addictions. Confronting painful emotions and dealing with addiction. I married these two together because I find that usually the reason why a lot of people get into addictions is because of an unwillingness to confront painful and uncomfortable emotions. And so that's why I just realized that, this is something that could be married together, and yeah, let's talk about it, okay? So let me paint a scenario for you. Have you ever been in a situation where maybe you were just doing something normally, maybe you were working or sitting down or something, and then in the next minute you just feel this intense craving or urge to indulge in something, and before you even know it, especially if that thing is available to you, you are already maybe reaching for that pack of cigarette, or reaching for the remote control, or walking towards the fridge, or you're just going to feed that craving, okay? Now, what you don't know is that it is very possible that in between the time when you were sitting down and just being okay, and when you felt that craving, you must have experienced a very, very uncomfortable or painful emotion. But because we're always on autopilot mode, which means that we are not aware of what's going on within us, in our minds, in our thoughts, and even around us, you just may not notice that you felt something. In fact, while you were sitting down and just doing whatever you were doing, you may not even have noticed that you were sitting down. It's just the crazy way that our thoughts can seem to drive and control us and just dump us into somewhere or into some place, and we don't even know how we got there. But that's another topic for another day, when we really go in depth and talk about mindfulness and the art of just practicing presence and being present. Okay, but that's not what I want to talk about today. So you may have, encountered experienced a very, very uncomfortable emotion, and then just responded to that craving that way. But the question is, how can you even deal with a craving or deal with something if you're not even aware of its existence? Okay, if you're not aware of its existence. Now let me give you the science of it. Okay. Now, scientists have said that it takes about 90 seconds for an emotion to run its course in your mind and body before it fizzles out. 90 seconds. In other words, when you experience an emotion, after 90 seconds, you will stop experiencing it, or the effect of it will begin to wane. They also say that in that autopilot mode, it takes you 25 seconds to respond to an emotion. In other words, you feel an emotion and then you want to respond, without even thinking. The time between when you feel that emotion and your response is 25 seconds. Now that gives us a very unique opportunity. And so there's a 25-second window for you to sort of take control of your life and determine how you want to respond to that situation at that time. Okay? As I said, how can you take control? How can you respond adequately if you don't even know that something is happening in there? Because as I said, you're in autopilot. So in that 25 seconds, is the time to practice mindfulness. It is a time to stop, okay? So that emotion comes up. you come to your senses, you wake up, and you ask yourself 2 questions. Remember, you have 25 seconds to ask these questions. The first question is, what am I feeling? The second question is, why am I feeling what I am feeling? Those 2 questions. Now, I'm a doctor, in case you don't know. Many of you don't know that, but I actually went to medical school and worked a bit in clinical medicine. But if a patient comes to me and says, oh, doc, I have this really bad pain in my abdomen, help me. It'll be very unethical of me to just prescribe pain meds and say, oh, just take paracetamol 3 times a day and you'll be all right. It's unethical. What I would want to do instead is to do some investigations, ask her questions, do some general and physical examinations to find out the root cause of the pain. So the pain is not the issue. The pain is just telling me that something is wrong somewhere. So I said all that to let you know that your pain is valid, your emotional pain, your emotional discomfort, that thing that you're feeling is not the problem. It is telling you that there is a problem somewhere, there's something that needs to be fixed in your mind, in your soul somewhere, and that you need to pay attention to it. And so the answer is obviously not giving into the craving, because that doesn't change the situation, the real cause of the problem. And so I'm going to just give you a few examples of emotions that come, that we experience sometimes without us even being aware, of them. The first one is, say, loneliness. So you're just sitting down there, an emotion comes, I want to have sex. Because you don't even know that anything happened. But in those 25 seconds, ask yourself, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? You might just find out that what you felt is a wave of loneliness. Honestly, pornography is not going to, is it going to really solve that? Or cake or chocolate at that point? It's not, because even after all of that, the loneliness still remains. And so what you want to begin to ask yourself, if what I'm feeling is loneliness, what can I do to actually change that? What can I do to stop feeling this way? It may be that you need to plug yourself into a community of loving, nurturing people who have the same interests as you do. And don't tell me that those communities don't exist, because I know for one that they do. But you're going to have to take the pain and make the effort to find those communities that suit you. It may be that you need to get out there more and stop being so introverted. It may be, these are points. It may be that you need to find 1 or 2 people in your space that you can be truly open and vulnerable with, and who also can be open and vulnerable with you as well. Okay? So when that wave of loneliness comes, a healthier thing to do is, if you have a friend, that nourishes your soul, helps your mind, because not all friends are really great to call when you are feeling bad. There are some friends that leave a bad taste in your mouth. But a good friend, call her up or call him up and say, hey, how you doing? Do you want to meet up? Do you want to do something? As opposed to just binging. Okay? Now, so that's for loneliness. Another emotion that sometimes takes us unawares is that of fear. Fear. I'm not one of those who say that, fear is evil, fear is bad. I mean, fear can be evil, when it takes control of your life. But I believe that fear is also it's an indicator that something needs to be done and something needs to be corrected. Not all the time. Sometimes fear is just pathetic and unreasonable. But a lot of times, for example, if you're afraid that, if the cause of the fear is that, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job. Or maybe the cause of the fear is that, I'm afraid that I'm going to lose a relationship. You want to ask yourself, when you identify that is the reason, that's the cause of the fear, you want to ask yourself, What can I do so that I do not lose my job? So again, the fear is not the issue. What can I do actually to ensure? Do I need to learn a skill, an additional skill? Do I need to take a training? Do I need to add another source of income to just make sure that, I don't starve, even in the event that I lose my job? Okay? A relationship, if you're afraid of losing a relationship, you need to talk to yourself. Really, this person, does he or she love me? If I have doubts about whether I'm going to lose this relationship or not, perhaps it's time to evaluate things. And if we need to stop this relationship, then I'm open to that, because I know it's easier said than done. But at the end of the day, your fear is already telling you that maybe what you thought you had is actually not real. Sometimes it just means that you need to talk to your partner and say, oh, what's happening? I've just been having this feeling lately. So all of these things I'm recommending are not easy, you see, and that's why the topic is confronting painful emotions. And so the problem with not confronting these emotions is that, apart from, as I said, addictions, which is not the case for everybody else, your intelligence, the build-up of emotions impacts your intelligence. Not only does it impact your intelligence, it impacts creativity, it impacts productivity, it impacts innovation, it impacts your ability to express and experience empathy. Okay? And so these traits or these characteristics that actually make for a progressive and a warmer society are diminished within you because you have not learned to confront difficult and painful emotions. Okay, and so this is, for example, this is just a diversion. I tell people that one of the reasons why Africans are still the way we are today with respect to growth and development is because a lot of us have not learned to confront difficult emotions. Because we go through a lot of pain and suffering, and we've just learned to cope and smile and laugh, and without actually confronting our problems. And so we lack empathy, innovation is low, productivity is low. And this is not to disrespect Africans. I'm African, but I'm just telling you that a lot of us are just not emotionally in the right place, and it affects the things that we create, the things that we do, the things that we see. Okay, that's just a diversion. Now, another emotion that can take us unawares or take us by surprise is shame. It's shame. Now, the funny thing about shame is like a bully, that once you confront it, it loses most of its power. Okay, once you ask yourself the question, what am I feeling? And you realize that it's shameful. Why am I feeling it? And you can answer the question, half of the work is done. For me, it is intensely comforting and relieving to know that I have an offer of complete and total absolution and forgiveness in God through Jesus Christ. I don't mean to get religious, but I have to tell you what works for me, right? Just the fact that I know that I can come before God and say, God, forgive me. And He promises me in His word that no matter what it is, if I ask Him in the name of Jesus, it is forgiven. It doesn't get better than that. And so I don't care what anybody has to say sometimes. I don't care what you think. I feel the shame. If I've messed up, I've messed up. I feel the shame. I go to God, He forgives me. I move on with my life. Okay, except in situations where it affects other people as well directly, because sometimes it really just it's other people's business. Sometimes you do things and it just is nobody's business. It's not. But in situations where it affects people, yeah, if I messed up with people, I'm sorry. But if it doesn't concern you, it doesn't concern you. Jesus Christ is forgiving me and we're good. Let's move on. Yeah. Okay, so that's for shame. The last emotion that, there's so many emotions, I can't talk about all of them. That's not the point. But the last one I'm going to talk about is the pain of failure and the pain of a broken relationship or a heartbreak. Now, I'm marrying these two together because there's such a note of finality to them. It's such a note of, I mean, for the other ones, you can say, oh, you can still try and fix them, you can still do something. But for failure and for a heartbreak or a broken relationship, there's really nothing you can do about what has happened in the past. The past is the past, you know? And so, there's pain. And so what do? You know, now, I'm going to tell you something. You know, I'm not dealing with this too like I've dealt with the other ones. I'm going to tell you something. In dealing with these emotions, okay, you need to understand two things. The first thing is that failure is in the past, okay? A broken relationship is in the past, but you have the present moment and you have the future, and you have to consider those as gifts, because the present moment, what you make of the present moment is what you will have in the future. So just because you had failure yesterday doesn't mean that you are going to have failure now and going to have failure in the future. And so that's the beauty and the genius of it. So you're not feeling, failure doesn't happen in the present. Failure happens in the past. In the present, there is potential, there is life happening right now. Whatever you make of it is what happens in the future. And so that should give you a renewed sense of hope that no matter what has happened in the past, I have today and I have tomorrow. I can turn the tides, I can make things different. Now, so I said that there are two things. The second thing you have to realize about in dealing with the fear of failure, in dealing with the pain of failure and the pain of heartache is this. You have to realize that as you are right now, watching me, you are beautiful, you are handsome, you are unique, you're special, okay? But you're not perfect. You're not perfect. And that means that you have to be willing to take responsibility for, if there's responsibility to be taken, for your failure, for the past that you paid in the heartbreak. You have to be willing to take responsibility. And you have to be willing to take responsibility with a sense of kindness and compassion to yourself. Okay? Towards yourself. Now that means that I can determine that, oh, I messed up, but I'm going to do better. I'm committed to being a better version of myself. I'm committed to learning from these mistakes so that I don't repeat them. I'm committed to being a better person. But I will not let this pain define who I am. Okay? And I will not unnecessarily just beat myself up and bash myself up. It's not necessary. I wish I could stay a little longer on this, but I can't. Because if there's anybody who bashed themselves for their mistakes, it was me. But now I've learned, girl, please, just learn and do better and move on. You know. So yeah. Now let me tell you something. As a doctor, I still have to manage my patient's pain, right? I still have to talk about the pain. So in as much as I am trying to find the cause of, the pain, the truth is a good doctor manages pain as well. You don't leave your patients in pain because they're trying to find out what the root cause of the problem is. You really do have to take care of pain, but because in matters of the heart, in matters of emotions, because you will not see blood coming out of your mind like you will see in your body. We tend to just think that, oh yeah, it's nothing. I don't feel anything. I can ignore it and nothing will happen. But a lot happens when you don't confront your emotions. I said all of that to say this, that there are palliatives. There are ways to dull emotional pain. Ways that are healthy, ways that add to you, ways that are productive. Okay, now I have a golden rule when it comes to pain palliatives, emotional pain palliatives or escape. If it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, it's not good for you. if it makes you feel less than you are, if it makes you feel very bad, if it just makes you, and we all know when you do stuff and it just doesn't feel, makes you feel less, then it's bad for you. If whatever it is you're using as an escape is actually going to bring you more harm than good, it's going to open you up to risks of disease, of infection, it's just going to make things worse for you. It's not the right thing to do. So here's what I'm going to tell you about things to do to take the edge off emotional pain. Number one, plug into a support system. Find people who are going through the same things as you are going through, and who are also quite determined to get out of it in a good way, okay? Because you don't want to stay around people who are not right for you, especially in that time when you're feeling vulnerable, people who will just lead you in the wrong way. You don't want that, because that period is a period where you're feeling the most vulnerable. So you actually really want to be careful about the kind of people you let in your space. Or take the time and the pain and the effort to look for people who are going through the same thing and who are also all about getting out of it. Others, empathy is one of the strongest healers I know. Just those two words, me too. This is also happening to me. I've gone through this before. It is so powerful. So don't take it for granted. Okay, so plug into a support system, people you can share with, and there's just a lot of healing that comes from that. The second thing I would advise is to find a new hobby or find new hobbies. Now, I had a session with someone, and it was about emotional pain and stress, and I was trying to recommend new hobbies. So I asked her what her hobbies were, and she said, her hobbies are sleeping, eating, and watching TV, and that was all. And I'm like, sis, those are not hobbies. Sleeping is not a hobby. Don't tell me that sleeping is a hobby. It is not a hobby. I think that a lot of us just need to engage the world more curiously. A lot of us have to be willing to change. A lot of us have to be willing to try new experiences. So if you tell me that, I'm an indoorsy person, I don't like the outdoors. Well, if the indoors are not doing you any good, you need to change. The goal is not to just be yourself. The goal is to be the best version of yourself. And so sometimes that means that you have to be willing to change and embrace new experiences. And so that means try new things, try hiking, try traveling, can afford to, try cooking different recipes, try joining a maybe riders club, bikers club, try learning something new, maybe swimming, I don't know. Just try new experiences and new things. Engage the world, as like a child. Soak up new experiences and new things. These have a very powerful way of giving you a sense of purpose and a new zest for life. Okay, so that's one, new hobbies. The third thing I'm going to say about palliatives, and then that's how I'm going to end this video, is this. Now, there are some hormones that we call they are feel-good hormones, they are endorphins. These hormones essentially just they make you feel good, okay? And these hormones are released, for example, when you do exercise, physical exercise, releases these hormones. So, if you want to feel good, that's one way to do it. Just go for a walk or a run. But that's not what I want to talk about. Now, it has been found that these hormones are released when you do good for people, when you nourish people, when you care for people, when you help people, when you strengthen and support people. Some of these hormones are released and they make you feel good. They make you feel a renewed sense of vitality and purpose and pleasure. And so that's to say that Don't be all about yourself, even in your moments of pain. Reach out, nurture, help, support, encourage somebody, encourage people. And you'll be surprised to see that it actually makes a difference to how you feel. So this is all I'm taking on this episode of Living Baggage Free. I feel like we've been here and there, and I don't know how that I was able to put my thoughts together properly, but I hope that you learned a thing or two from this video. Don't forget to subscribe, share. Let me have your feedback in the comment section. So till I come your way again, my name is Olamide, and continue to live baggage free. Thank you.